What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, where as always I hope that you are in good spirits. I mean, why wouldn't you be after yesterday's comprehensive 3-0 victory over Manchester United, a game that very much put the Manx back in their place. Well, their place actually is 14th place in the league table. So tonight we're going to go through it all. I see loads of people giving loads of different opinions on the intro song. Let me just explain where it came from. I didn't do this. Connor didn't do this. Somebody yesterday after the United game emailed it to us and said, I was messing around with AI and I made this. So they sent it to us and I thought, you know what? The very least that we can do for somebody taking the time out of their day to come up with a song like that for us is use it for a little bit. So we thought we would. It's weirdly catchy, although sure, it's not everybody's favourite. But look, thank you to Connor, the guy. Ironically, it was another guy called Connor who sent it to us. So with that in mind, let's get stuck into it tonight. I just need to open up the back end system. 1 second. Once I get this opened up, we'll be good to go. It's Anfield Agenda. It's weirdly catchy in a very strange AI kind of world. Yeah, I couldn't put together something like that, so it definitely wasn't me. It was one of our subs that was very kind enough to do it for us. Right, for a super chat from Joe Manning. Joe, how are you, sir? Craig, Anfield Agenda song goes crazy. It's, look, as I said, somebody sent it to us as a little, I don't know, a little nice moment. So we said, let's do it again. Please don't use it again. No, I'll use it whenever I want. And again, everyone has an entitled to an opinion. I respect if you like it. I respect if you don't like it. But what you do not get to do is tell me what to do. Remember? So I said, someone took the time to do it for us. The very least I can do is make sure that we give it a little airing. You don't have to listen to it. If you don't like it, of course, you can just put your phone or your computer on mute. But it is what it is. And I think it's weirdly kind of catchy. So, my friends, look. You may have picked up on a couple of little bits and pieces today around the ZUBIMENDI stuff. And of course, I was reading through some of your comments. And it seems like there's some confusion going on. So I guess I'll try and clear that up as best as I can. So one, ZUBIMENDI did not sign a new contract with Sociedad. Despite what a couple of people in the chat were saying, he hasn't signed that contract yet. So that's where this conversation led into. I was speaking with David Lynch earlier on today. We were going back over the United game, and just as we were finishing up the episode that we were recording together, I got a message from Connor to say that Fabrizio Romano was chatting a little bit about ZUBIMENDI, and this is what Fabrizio had to say. He said the appreciation for ZUBIMENDI is still there. Liverpool still believe he's the perfect player for the tactical idea that they have. So I didn't know if Fabrizio was, stretching here or not. So I asked David Lynch, what do you think, David, if ZUBIMENDI happened to change his mind? Do you think Liverpool would revisit this situation? And he said that it certainly was left on good terms, so it's possible. Now, possible being the operative word there. Happy with the start to the season. Belief is back, said Mark. Thank you, Mark, for your membership as well, mate. Appreciate you being with us. 6 months with us, mate. Thank you so much. So look, I've no idea whether we will go back in or not, but the longer he doesn't sign a contract extension at Sociedad, and remember, they've had a poor start to the campaign as well. They've also seen Mikel Merino depart and go to Arsenal. So I wonder, will he kind of feel, did I make the right decision? And as long as he doesn't sign that new deal, well, the buyout clause remains the same as well. So I'm not saying it will happen, I'm not saying it won't happen, but there genuinely seems to be, between David Ornstein, David Lynch, Fabrizio Romano, at least an acknowledgement that it's possible. New background is Fire Lad, AA leveling up. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. We'll try our best every season to come in a little bit better than the one before. And yeah, I like it. Again, it's a matter of personal taste. Some people don't like it, some people do. For me, I just don't want life to be boring. And where else are you going to have me and Newland dancing behind you on a screen? Do you really think we're signing Zubi? I don't know. And this is why I put it to David Lynch. I mean, if you want to try and figure out the context yourself, watch the interview we did with David. At the end of it is the part where I bring up the ZUBIMENDI situation. I was actually expecting the answer to be no. I said to him, well, Fabrizio has said this Do you think it's possible? Expecting them to go, no, I don't really think we'll revisit it. But I guess all options are on the table. And David Ornstein and others have kind of been teasing a little bit about the fact that, we did revisit Virgil, albeit in different circumstances. And of course, we got Virgil signed up in the winter window. I don't know. I'm not in Zubimendi's head. I don't know if Zubimendi's regretting his decision or if he feels comfortable with his decision. But what I do know is it certainly feels like it's possible. And while it's possible, until he signs that new deal, if he signs a new deal at Sociedad, I think we could probably knock it on the head. But that new deal hasn't been signed yet, so let's wait and see. Federico Chiesa seems to be out and about at Anfield as well. I'm sure you've seen those images. How great is it, by the way? How excited he is to come and play for Liverpool. It was heartwarming to see how much it meant to him in that signing day vlog. I thought it was brilliant. Really, really uplifting stuff. Mo Trafford. I seen that, David. I seen somebody change the sign from welcome to Old Trafford to welcome to Mo Trafford, and it looked great. He does own the gaff, so why not? On that background, where is the Premier League title going? What do you mean? It's already there. It's there to the left-hand side of me. It's not going anywhere. It's staying right there, Jordan. Stevie boy, how are you, sir? Always a pleasure to have you in with us, mate. Said, can Hughes get the contract renewed ASAP? Can't keep dragging this out. So, yes, that's a good point as any, or place as any to start tonight. Right now, the ball is very firmly in Liverpool's court with these contract extensions for Mohamed, for Virgil and for Trent. And I would have to say, Mohamed Salah has started this season incredibly well. He cannot do any more than he's doing. He looks phenomenal. He's playing phenomenal. He owns Old Trafford. It will be very difficult for Liverpool to try to justify not offering him a decent extension. And Virgil and Trent as well. Look, I would imagine this gets moving along quite quickly because we're all a little bit anxious right now, aren't we? We've seen how good we've started the season. So my thoughts on it are this. There are many different thought processes as to why this contract extension situation has been allowed to get to where it is. Some of it may be Liverpool taking their eye off the ball. Some of it may be the departure of Jurgen Klopp. Other parts, maybe the players wanted to see what the club's ambitions were moving forward. And of course, maybe, just maybe, they wanted to see what life was going to be like under Arne Slot. And I think, for certainly the last part of that, I hope these players get the understanding quite quickly that Liverpool have brought in a very good manager. And there's still a long way to go. And of course, it's still early days. But Arne Slot is no mug. He is here to do the best job he can do. And we've seen his tactical acumen on display over the first 3 games. So I think we can start ticking off these boxes. Are this club still going to be competitive? Yes, tick that box. Can the club financially afford to give the contract extensions to Salah, Virgil and Trent? Yes, we know that they can. Will the players feel comfortable under the new manager? I absolutely have no reason to believe they won't. I mean, you've seen how well we've started this season. 3 games in, 3 clean sheets, 3 wins, 7 goals scored. Can't argue with it. So there is no reason for the club not to offer contract extensions at this point, other than maybe taking a longer term view. And if these boys keep performing as they are, it will look idiotic not to give, and I don't mean like a contract offer for the sake of a contract offer. I mean a genuine bona fide, we think this gets it done contract offer to each one of them. Jordan Hunnable said, I miss these seasons. I don't know what you mean by seasons. The seasons where we've hope to win stuff. I don't know. I'm buzzing with the start of the campaign so far, and even after last night, just to see Ten Hag again in denial. He is absolutely deluded in some of the crap that he comes out with. And Neville, I want to talk about Gary Neville in a while as well. Certainly got wet again at Old Trafford yesterday, said Tobias Bakke. Thank you, Tobias, for your super chat and for being in with us, bro. Appreciate your support as always. Hippo Critic said, Anfield Agenda. Loving the song. That guy that sent it to you must be great and super sexy. I guess that was probably you then, was it? But either way, thank you. We really do appreciate you taking the time to make it and send it to us, Connor. So thank you so much. This one from Adam. Adam, I think we're all going to agree with you on this one, my friend. So Adam has said, Hi Craig, very impressed with Gravenberch. I don't know how any of us couldn't be. He was phenomenal. They were all phenomenal yesterday, but Ryan Gravenberch, I mean, the stats from that game were absolutely ridiculous. He topped most metrics from midfield yesterday. He was phenomenal. Interceptions, I think he had 7 interceptions alone in midfield, which is incredible. Obviously, we've seen how quickly he could glide through the lines of midfield as well. The goal that was ruled out, and it was fairly ruled out, I only bring it up because I'm talking about Gravenberch's part in that. Received the ball from Virgil van Dijk, really quickly turned and left that United midfield for dust. He looks the business. So, yes, the competition for places is going to be great. And I like the way I look at this is, if you brought ZUBIMENDI in, or if you found another number 6, imagine the competition and the levels and the ability that Arne will have to rotate these guys and not drop off. That's going to be the key for this season. And you can already see very early that Arne Slot is going about methodically trying to reduce the amount of injuries and wear and tear that are on the guys by replacing them and substituting them relatively early in the season, 70 minutes in. Now, he's had the luxury of doing that in the first 3 games because we've been at least 2 goals up in all of these situations, which I guess makes it easier, but he's still doing it, right? He's still giving these guys a breather. What's the Zubi comments? Rubbish. Is this our owners again? No, Carl, this is 3 different journalists today speaking about it, mate. Because he hasn't signed a new contract at Sociedad yet. And I guess while he hasn't signed that, we have to wait and see what happens. I mean, the first I'd seen of it came from Romano, but then I'd seen something from David Ornstein. And then I just happened to be recording with David Lynch as this stuff came out, so I asked him about it. And everybody feels like it's possible. Now, nobody's gone out on a limb to say Liverpool are going to do it because, of course, this would be driven by ZUBIMENDI. He'd have to say, you know what, I made a mistake. And we don't have any concrete information that that's going to happen yet. But I thought it was very interesting for David Lynch to say, yeah, it was good terms there. The door's certainly not closed. Let's wait and see. What have we got? Has Gravenberch been Liverpool's best player in the 3 games this season? Between him and Mo, and I guess you could probably throw Lucho in there as well. I think between those 3, you've probably got your answer. Look, it's been very difficult, not that you want to, find any criticisms or pick holes in how we've played so far. First half in both of them, the first 2 games, we were a little bit lackluster, but we built into it as the game went on. Against United, it only took us maybe 10 minutes to really come into the game and then start to strangle United and just take over, and it was a very, very comfortable win. Predictions for top 4. Love the content, Craig. Thank you so much, Eric, and thank you for 11 months as a member, bro. That's incredible. Thank you. Top 4 predictions. Let me see. I find it very difficult to really predict a title race yet, so it'll be some version of Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City in the top 3. I just honestly have no idea in what order, because you can sit here and make a really good argument for City doing it again. Of course you can. You can make an argument for Arsenal finally coming good, or you could make an argument for Liverpool maybe needing to get a bit lucky with injuries and stuff. And we've also had a relatively straightforward start to the campaign, so we don't want to get too carried away. But I do think it'll be some version of Liverpool, City, Arsenal, top 3. After that, it's a difficult one to call, the 4th and 5th spots, because nobody's shown any real consistency yet. Brighton have had a good start. Villa are going to be there or thereabouts. Newcastle got a good win against Spurs as well. I tell you what, though, I really can't see United being in a Champions League spot at the end of the season unless they get rid of Ten Hag, because I don't know what United fans need to see or what more they need to see for him to be gone. He spent 612 million quid. They don't look like they have a style of play. It's not for me to say, but I feel like if I was a United fan, I would be pretty frustrated right now. Actually, that reminds me about Gary Neville. I'll move on to him in 1 second. Feyenoord, unfortunately, is struggling this year. Departure of Slatinho left its mark. Talate, sign of an impact trainer. Also, they've sold some players, right? Geertruida, I think, and a few others moved on. Or maybe Geertruida didn't, but they certainly moved on a few. Jack Nicol, thank you, Jack, for your super chat. Said, hi, Craig, how are you and the family doing? Chiesa coming in on the right. I think Salah 3-4 years as we can rest him more so we can push more. Thoughts? I don't think Salah gets anything more than 3 at the very most, to be honest with you. I'd feel comfortable with 2 and an option of a third, personally. Same with Virgil. With Trent, you want to tie it down to 4 or 5 years. Of course you do. But with the other two, I think both of them will probably easily play till 36, 37. For the same reasons. They're both physical specimens. Salah is reinventing himself as he gets a little bit older, and his assist making, his game intelligence, his defensive work has been top notch. So yeah, there's very little argument for not giving these guys substantial contract offers because they've all earned it. So on Gary Neville, sorry. Now I'm not going to go in on Gary Neville and start taking cheap shots at him. I'm genuinely going to try and give you a fair opinion of it. Seeing him and Jamie Carragher speak yesterday and hearing Gary Neville try to, I guess, defend his club, which is understandable, but he's not doing so from a position that I think he's talking much sense. When Neville and Carragher were talking yesterday, Jamie Carragher kept saying to him about United looking for managers during the summer, and Gary Neville kept coming back to this myth that Liverpool ended up on their third choice manager. And I don't think Carragher challenged that quite enough, because we don't know Arne Slot was in any way Liverpool's third choice manager. What we know is everybody was looking at Alonso and everybody was interested in Alonso, but Alonso never committed to anything and nobody ever made a move for him. So he was being looked at, absolutely. The stuff around Ruben Amorim, he was never offered the job, never going to be offered the job. So I think Neville's been a little bit disingenuous there, talking about Arne Slot being Liverpool's third choice. I'm not aware of that. Nobody I've spoken to is aware of that. So I think that was wrong. Whatever way he wants to dress up United looking at another manager in the summer, we all know the truth of it was, yes, maybe they couldn't find the manager they felt was enough of an upgrade, but also they didn't want to pay out the money that you would have to do to get rid of Ten Hag unless they found that other manager. So it's just kicking the can down the road. Most United fans I've spoken to know Ten Hag isn't good enough. And despite this lunacy of his talking about being the second most successful team after Manchester City, if you want to look at it from a very narrow perspective of 2 domestic trophies, fair enough. But you can't ignore the 8th place finish. You can't ignore finishing bottom of a Champions League group. You can't ignore being beaten 7-0 by us, 3-0 by us, being battered by Manchester City on occasion. These things you can't just ignore either. And United fans aren't idiots. They know this as well. And I think it's just a matter of time till Ten Hag's gone. And I don't understand how Neville tries to make excuses for the ownership at United. It's just, for us, it's comical. Let him stay there forever. Let him keep digging this hole bigger, because he just looks more and more deluded, Ten Hag, as the weeks go by. I mean, did you see the reporter said to him about the constant mistakes they're making, and he said, well, which constant mistakes? Trying to be a smart arse back to the reporter, and the reporter just went bang, 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 listed them off, and still Ten Hag was dismissive of the reporter and tried to say, well, we're still the second most successful team after Manchester City. He is the most arrogant, deluded manager I can remember in the Premier League for quite a while, whose talent doesn't back up the arrogance that he has. What number would you put on Salah on the all-time Liverpool list? I would put him third behind Gerrard and King Kenny. Love this channel and the community. Thank you, Carl. I don't know where I'd put him, because I really haven't sat down and given it much thought. And it's also really difficult to try and measure people from different eras. What I can say is, I love what Jamie Carragher was kind of intimating that Mo wants to stay here and he wants to rewrite record books. And he knows he won't ever really be in the conversation with Gerrard and Kenny, but he can be the best of the rest. And I think that's absolutely possible. Who knows what records Mo could continue to break if he stays here, because he looks like he's zoned in. He looks like he's fully focused, and all the indications seem to be that he wants to stay. He just wants an offer from the club that he feels is reflective of what he's given to the club, his status, and what he's still delivering. And I have to say, off the basis of what we're seeing so far this season, he looks absolutely zoned in, top notch, and deserving of a contract offer from the club that reflects that. I don't know what the number's going to be. I haven't got a clue. I don't know what the expectation is from Mohamed Salah's side. I don't know what the offer might be from our side, but get it done, I guess, is just a message for most of us, right? Get it done. Matt, how are you, bro? Said, really enjoying the footy we're playing. Went to the Brentford game with my granddad. His first game at Anfield for 40 years. Planning on going to the Bournemouth game as well. In love with this team. I'm so happy, mate, that you're feeling that upbeat. I'm so happy that you went with your granddad and enjoyed it as well. I'm finally getting over for a Champions League game this season. I'm going to the Lille game. Myself and Connor bought our tickets directly from the club the other night. We bought Carlsberg Dugout hospitality tickets, and the only way we could guarantee to get over. So yeah, we booked that and we're going over for that game in January. Can't wait. Fimble FIFA said, I'm addicted to this slot machine. Lovely moment. I seen him clap the fans as he turned. It looked like he was emotional as they were singing his name. Yeah, look, he's been so impressive, hasn't he, since he's come in. You know, he hasn't gotten carried away. He hasn't gotten overhyped. He just keeps going about his business in a very methodical, analytical, zoned in, confident manner. And the thing is, he looks like he belongs at Liverpool in this moment, in the job he's in. He doesn't look overawed by it. He doesn't look out of place. He looks like he knows he's where he belongs. And I have to say, just hearing him speak and talk about the game and be so quick to point out what he was happy with, what he's unhappy with, to say, yes, we did do well, but we have to remember Alisson made some saves. And then he went on to speak about the fact that, you know, once we went 3-0 up, we kind of let them back into the game a little bit and some of the intensity dropped away. He's so clued in, and it's really impressive to see. What do you think FSG will use new contracts for Virgin Trent as a softener for a crap window? Look, my thoughts on the owners are what they are, and they're not going to change. I find them cheap. I can only say the same things over and over again. But they're in a position now where they haven't gone big in the window. We brought in Chiesa. We've made money in the transfer window. So there's no excuse with regards to not having the ability to give these guys contract extensions, and if they feel so, a contract rise. Particularly with Trent. You'd imagine he's going to have to get a fairly substantial pay rise. There's no excuse not to do it now. The players are shown that they're still at the levels. Of course, you always, and David made a fair point about this when we spoke earlier, you never want to overcommit and give somebody a 3-4 year deal, because we've seen in football that somebody can be brilliant one season and then just the legs go the next. Now, I don't get that indication that Mohamed Salah or Virgil are going to go down that route. And if you look at what I've always said, I've just been against any of these guys leaving the club for free, because I think it's the height of stupidity. So the club should give an offer to these guys, and a fair one at that. I mean, I don't know what the number is to make Mohamed Salah happy. With Virgil, again, I would say something similar to he's on now, maybe with some more incentives for clean sheets and stuff like that. I don't know how these players' contracts are worded, but I do know that every single one of us watching the first 3 games of the season feels like Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk are absolutely at the levels required. So that's all they can do. I don't speak about Trent, of course, because he's still 25. We know that Trent's legs aren't going to go. So that's a fairly straightforward conversation about ambition, I would imagine, for the football club. Jason Burton, welcome to Anfield Agenda Ultras, bro. Appreciate you. Don't forget, by the way, if you already haven't, you can get your tickets for the live show November 15th in Liverpool. You can get them with the link at the top of the chat and in the description. Thank you to everyone that's bought tickets so far. Ticket sales have been going well, and really looking forward to coming and having a good night with you guys during the November international break, which would be a nice distraction as well for me, because I hate these international breaks. Rusba said, I love that we're finishing teams in 60 to 70 minutes. Huge improvement compared to last season. How much do you think we rotate for the Champions League, and which players? Well, it was interesting yesterday, Rusba, that we'd seen Arne Slot talk about the fact that when we come back after this international break, we're going to have 2 games a week and the intensity is going to be ratcheted up, and this is where the squad is going to come into it. So he has great options in attack now. I mean, just look at the options he has there. We've got Jayden Danns, who's going to be back from injury in maybe 6 weeks. You've got Jota and Darwin. Then on either side, you can have Chiesa and Salah, or you can have Lucho and Cody, or you can have Chiesa play anywhere across the front 3. Elliott's another option there. Szoboszlai at a push can move forward. So no arguments around squad depth up top. More than enough there. In midfield, I would argue there's still a drop-off. If we needed to rest or remove Gravenberch as an example, let's be honest, Endo isn't going to come in and do the same job in the same way that Ryan Gravenberch's able to do it. So you may have to alter things a little bit there, and that's where you'd want a ZUBIMENDI or another number 6 to come in, and you just don't want to drop off. Like, imagine right now if we could rotate out Ryan Gravenberch for a game and bring in a number 6 who he knows can play the system the way Slot wants to play it, and we won't see a drop off. That would be incredible. So we're not that far away. I like the way he's going about trying to protect the players from injury and manage their minutes a bit more. I'm very interested to see what happens, as you mentioned, Ruse, but when we go into 2 games a week, which players get rotated out more, I don't know. I mean, you don't want to take the likes of Mo out when they're on a hot streak, do you? But you also don't want to overplay them. So I'm sure he'll listen to his medical department when it comes to that, and Ruben Peters in particular. But all signs so far are pointing to a good manager who has definitely got us off to the start we'd hoped for. 3 wins from 3 is not to be sniffed at. Chiesa must be licking his lips. Andy said, Zubi do, we don't need you, Muppet. Okay, well, you can fuck off, Andy. Mate, I'm fed up of telling people, whether you're disrespecting me or anybody else, it doesn't wash. You're not going to get away with it. I'm not going to put up with it. I don't want to listen to it. You're not impressing anyone. You're not funny. I'm like, time and time again, if you want to be toxic, go elsewhere to do it, because this isn't the environment for it, bro. We come in here to have fun, enjoy our company with each other, and certainly not slag off people. So just, you know, be better, mate. I'm fed up of it, like. Who would you rotate for Forest, or wait until Milan to rotate? I mean, I'll have to look through the international fixtures, of course, and see when people are coming back. What we do know is the likes of Federico Chiesa will be available because he's not being called up by Spalletti. And actually on that, Spalletti was speaking about this situation, and he said the reason he didn't call Chiesa up, he said, Chiesa and I spoke and made a fair assessment. I would have brought him in as an extra player, not participating in the games. He told me that he'd spoken to his new club and that he needed to do specific preparation work with them. So Luciano Spalletti, very understanding of the fact that Chiesa's just moved to a new club, and of course will want to settle in there. So that's good news for us as well, that Chiesa isn't in that Italian squad. He wasn't calling you a Muppet, he was calling ZUBIMENDI a Muppet. So I never once said he was calling me a Muppet. I read out his comment, read the word Muppet at the end of it, but I don't get why he's calling ZUBIMENDI a Muppet either. It's just disrespectful for no reason. At a time where there's no need to put it into the conversation. So again, I didn't say he was calling me a Muppet. You let me look after the people that I'm removing from the chat, bro, and I'll look after how I interpret these things, and you can just go about your evening and interact with us on normal stuff, if that's alright. Garfu. Oh, this one, sorry. Was bringing up the wrong comment. There we go. Could Curtis Jones fill in for Ryan? They're similar. I would be... I mean, no for me. I can obviously only give you my opinion, but there's no way I would want Curtis Jones doing that role that Ryan Gravenberch does, because I don't think he has the same attributes. I don't think he has the same athleticism as Ryan Gravenberch does. I don't think he has the same style to be able to dance through midfield as gracefully as Gravenberch does, nor intercept as well as Gravenberch does. So for me, that would be a no. I would always think of Curtis Jones more as one of the number 10s, maybe, if Szoboszlai needed to be rotated out. Arne Slot also spoke about the fact that against United, he played Dominic Szoboszlai on the left side, whereas in previous 2 games, he played him in off the right side. So that was interesting to hear as well. Carzoid, Santa Barbara, said, "Hi Craig, we need a fan chant song at Anfield for Luis Diaz. Suggestions? Louis, 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 Louis! Ah! I think that's the one that you're going for. Maybe. Again, it's the cop that will have to get these things bouncing, mate. But yeah, it's as good a one as any. And you're right, we do need some songs. So, I mean, what do you guys think about Curtis Jones? Who do you think if Ryan Graf... Actually, you know what? Let's put it to a poll. 1 second. 1 sec. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, who fills in for Ryan if he wants to be rotated or if the manager rests him? 1 second. Who else have we got in there that can do that job? Oh, yeah. And last option. Right, so I've given you 4 options. Who fills in for Ryan when he's either rotated or when the manager wants to give him a breather? Who fills in? I've given you 4 options. I've given you Curtis Jones, Wataru Endo, Tyler Morton, and other, in case you think none of those and you'd like to throw another name into the hat. He is a clickbaiter. What a clown. You are a moron who has no idea what the title's about. And if you knew anything about the title, you'd know that 3 different journalists today have already spoken about the possibility of Zubimendi in January. I don't report it. I didn't come up with these things. Stop being a gobshite. So again, let me run through them for you. So as brain dead people like our friend there who thinks he's fucking clever will actually understand where this information comes from. So it started off with Fabrizio Romano saying the appreciation for Zubimendi is still there. Liverpool believe he's still the perfect player for the tactical idea that they have at the club. And then that came out, as I mentioned earlier on, but our little brain dead friend there wasn't probably around when I said this. Just thought he'd come in, be a smart arse with a clicky title. I was speaking with David Lynch earlier on, and that came out literally as I was sitting down recording the podcast with David Lynch. So I asked him, David, Fabrizio Romano has just said this. What do you think? If is there any opportunity there to go back in for him? And then we spoke about it for a bit, and he said, well, he hasn't signed a new contract yet at Sociedad, so potentially. And then it didn't finish there because Ornstein kind of intimated something similar as well when he was speaking about it. So that's 3 different journalists that have all intimated that it might not be done just yet. But you're right, mate. I'm the clickbaiter. It definitely isn't news that I'm reporting from journalists, you absolute dickhead. When are these people going to realise they're not clever enough? You don't have a clue what you're talking about. And do you not understand what a question mark is? Is that something else I have to explain to your dumb ass? If there's a question mark at the end of something, it isn't a statement. It's a fucking question. Less of that, more focusing on your education and understanding and comprehending English. And then we can have these other conversations. Did we clear out all the players to afford the 3 new contracts? Oh, Jay, you know what? I wouldn't say we even needed to do that, bro. Because when we moved on Thiago, Joel Matip and Adrian San Miguel, we know that there was a lot of money freed up there. I think it was about 18.5 million quid. No other contracts of big players recently have been extended. So the wage bill hasn't really gone up. So you would say the wiggle room is certainly there for the club financially to give the offers to Mohamed, to Virgil and Trent. Righteous Gamer said, only just joined the stream. Is Liverpool going in for Zubimendi again, or is his head being turned to join us as we've had a better start to the season? So I guess it's a factor of a couple of things. One, he hasn't signed a new deal with Real Sociedad yet. That hasn't happened. Don't know why. Maybe he's had a change of heart. Maybe they're not giving him the offer he wants. I don't know. But I didn't think much of it, the fact that he hadn't signed a new deal, until this stuff today kind of start trickling out. And as I said, I didn't really put much stock in it until I asked David Lynch about it. And I was expecting him to shoot it down, to say, no, I don't expect that to happen. But he was far more open to the idea of it. And as I mentioned, David Ornstein kind of intimated to the Virgil van Dijk situation where we didn't get it sorted in the summer, but we did revisit it and get it done quickly in the winter. So at this moment in time, I don't know that Zubimendi changed his mind. I just know that the option is still being spoken about as a possibility. Don't forget the wages of Klopp leaving. Yeah, it's a good point, Suleiman. I never really think about the manager's wages in any of these. I couldn't even tell you what slot is on as a wage. So yeah, good point you've made. Certainly need to consider that as another lessening of the wage bill, I would imagine. Rusba said, I agree with you on Curtis Jones, but Slot seems to have this magical ability to improve players. Let's be honest, if you asked all of us before this season if Gravenberch could be good as a 6, we'd say no. I would push back a little bit on that. I think even last season there was conversations where there was at least an idea that he could be a 6. Now, nobody thought he was a 6. Like, nobody... I'm not trying to say any of us said straight away, lash him straight into the number 6 there, he'll be grand. But I think we could understand that he could be used there. We just didn't know what a number 6 in an Arne Slot system was going to look like, of course. And a number 6 in a Slot system was a little bit different from the way Arne wants to play. So I would say it was certainly a possibility, but I guess I certainly would admit to saying I didn't think he'd start his season as well in the role as he has. I've been very pleasantly surprised how quickly Ryan has adapted to the way Arne wants him to play. Nathan Whitehouse, comment didn't come in, mate, but thank you so much for your super chat nonetheless, mate. Appreciate you. Jordan gifted a membership as well. Thank you, Jordan. Jordan Hunnable, really appreciate that, mate. So are we still all buzzing about yesterday, by the way, because I'm still going around with a big smirk on my face about the match. Ian Green Street, how are you, Ian? Ian said, hi Craig, brilliant demolition of United, great show, hope the family are well. I've been granted my licence, I'm a fully qualified security guard. Well in, man, well in. I love when people share their life journey with us and some positive stuff like that, Ian, so proud of you, mate, well done. Family are good, thank you. We're heading away on holiday on Wednesday night, so we're just kind of winding down a bit now for the next few days, so yeah, that's why I'm even in a bit of a lower tone tonight. I'm getting into holiday mode, mate. I'm getting into holiday mode. Matt Kelly said, most people I spoke with love the promise of Gravenberch at the end of last year. I don't like Jones, but Slot makes me believe in him. So my issue with Jones, I guess, is kind of twofold, Mac. Like yourself, I've seen glimpses in him where you can say there's a player there. But between the injuries, I just don't ever see enough consistency for me personally. Certainly not enough that I would rather the idea of using Curtis Jones against the idea of revisiting the market to come in and bring in that other number 6. Do you think Klopp signed these players for himself or had an inkling he was going? I really don't know. I haven't got a clue. The only one of those players that really stands out as now looking out of place is Endo. And that's because of obviously the style that Arne wants to play. Not because of Endo not being a good player or not. Just not really perfect, at least for now, for the way Arne is setting up to play. And that's where we still have concerns, right? Because it's great when Gravenberch's there and it's great that Ryan's doing as well as he is and we all hope that continues. But we also know we can't play 60, 65 games in a season. And I don't know for me if I'll ever be convinced with Curtis Jones. I mean, I'd like to think I'm an open-minded person, and if he does turn it around, I'll certainly put my hands up. But if I look at his, years as a senior player so far, I can think of months at this point where I've been happy rather than seasons. Techno Tim said, Craig, you're the only Liverpool streamer I watch. Keep it real and not allowing silly toxicity from people with zero ball knowledge. I mean, I just get wound up by them, mate, because I hate toxicity. I hate it. I hate anybody who just comes in to be an arsehole to anyone. I don't get the point of it. You know, all of our parents always told us, if you've nothing nice to say, don't say anything. So I hate it. Especially when it's come out of nowhere. Like somebody doesn't know us or know what we're talking about and they come into the chat trying to be a smart arse. It's just pointless. Maybe he deserves a shot under slot. Well, Sydney, right now, mate, he's injured. So, again, we're going to have that conversation with Jones. And that's been something he's acknowledged himself will probably be an issue he has to manage throughout his career. Look, again, these are all just opinions, right? I just don't rate Curtis Jones that much. I've nothing against the guy. I don't know him. Could be a special year. A lot of smiles on the pitch at Irish Andy. Yes. I'll tell you who my biggest concern is over for this season, and that's Darwin. Because at some point, Darwin's going to have to step up. And I know it's difficult for him at the minute, coming in at the end of games and stuff like that. That's fair enough. But he is going to have to up his game. So yeah, in case you haven't heard this as well, by the way, Victor Osimhen is going on loan to Galatasaray for the season. I kid you not. Was being spoken about all day. The Turkish window's open until the 12th of September, I think. So yeah, David Ornstein just confirming Victor Osimhen set to take his medical at Galatasaray after an agreement reached with Napoli on a straight loan, personal terms in place, January break clause in there. So if somebody comes back in from in January, then maybe he'll move out. But yeah, they just can't keep his wages on there at Napoli. He's on something like, I think they said it was about £160,000 a week after tax. So weird. I mean, somebody said on Sky, I can't remember which reporter it was earlier on, that it almost feels like Napoli were trying to be clever and have shot themselves in the foot. So they gave him a big pay rise and also put in the release clause in there, thinking that there was going to be a bidding war from this summer. But this summer's transfer window has been a weird one, right? And Chelsea were willing to go in from it. They weren't willing to pay the wages that he was on. The club in Saudi Arabia certainly were willing to pay it, but I don't think he wanted to move. So they've ended up in this weird position where they've now had to loan him out to Galatasaray for a season, or at least half a season, which is weird. That's not clever by Napoli. No, it's not. It's I think De Laurentiis has tried to be a little bit too clever there, and it's kind of come back to bite them in the backside. Enjoying the positive vibes. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate you being in as well. It's great at this moment in time, isn't it? We've played 3-1-3, not conceded a goal. All good. You know, it's a nice position to be in, and you would expect after the international break, we're home to Nottingham Forest. Probably get our Chiesa debut there as well. He probably gets a few minutes at the end of the game. You would imagine, again, hopefully at a point where Liverpool are winning, standing ovation, good vibes in the stadium, and you want that to carry on. Now, on the fixtures, actually, one of the games has been changed. So, Liverpool posted earlier on to say there's a new date and kick-off time for the Premier League game against Chelsea at Anfield next month. The game will now take place on Sunday, October the 20th at 4:30. So, just in case you were thinking of heading to that game or booking travel or accommodation, that game has been moved to the Sunday 4:30 slot at Anfield on October 20th. Forest and Bournemouth next, looking good. Absolutely, Darren. You mean, I don't think we're being too arrogant to say there's every possibility there of 2 more wins. Bournemouth are no mugs, we know that, but still, you would fancy us to get the job done. And if we can do that, I mean, that's as good a start as we could have hoped for. We will have tougher weeks and months ahead, of course, and I'm not trying to sit here and say we are the best team in the world, but you know, you can't but be happy with the start we've made. And by the way, one more thing I want to bring up really quickly. I've not seen anywhere in the media today, now correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you guys have seen it and I've missed it, but I've not seen anything condemning the tragedy chanting from United fans yesterday at Old Trafford. And I'm getting a bit fed up of it, because we had the idiot with the 97 was not enough jersey last season or the season before. And then we had it again yesterday, just because they're losing a game of football. And look, I don't want to hear it's both sets of fans, because on occasion it has been, but not yesterday. Yesterday, it was very clearly coming from one set of fans. And it's just, I don't understand how grown men and women can sing that crap about people who didn't make it home from a game of football because you're losing a game. I mean, it's pathetic. And I've not seen it condemned anywhere in the media. I've not seen it written about enough for my liking today. Because again, this is where I get wound up by the hypocrisy of Skies and whatnot. Sky tell us about removing hate from the game. Yet we have Enzo Fernandez not banned for singing racist songs. Then we have United fans inside singing about murderers and nothing. So stop being hypocrites and call out these clubs and these players and hold them to the same account as everybody else. It's pathetic, quite frankly. Thoughts of Haaland's start to the season? Oh, I mean, what can you say, Mohammed? 7 goals, is it, so far? Back-to-back hat-tricks. And do you know what? What's even more intimidating is he looks like he's becoming even physically stronger as he obviously grows into to his man body. He's been ridiculous, just ridiculously good. Just, you know, you've got to give the man his flowers. He's been incredible. As much as it kills me to say that, yeah, he's been unplayable. I think it was the second goal he scored where he just hammered it into the goal with his left foot. Like, it was just raw power. Nomad said, I've not seen it condemned anywhere. Carragher should call it out on Sky. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And it really becomes tiring. Sky Sports never called out tragedy chanting. No shock there. Neither did United. Very poor, and the chanting was clear and obvious. My mates were at the game, said the stewards done nothing. Exactly. But we'll get all the lip service as usual. We'll get all the... It's just nonsense, and it's so tiring. Welcome to Anfield Agenda Ultra, Sam. Appreciate your support, mate. Thank you so much. Grafenberg for me will be a great versatile player should we finally get our number 6 at IFI must. Braithwaite, ZUBIMENDI, we missed out on the transfer this summer, said Sean. IBHX said, Anfield Agenda, do you think Robbo and Canada get new contracts as their deals end soon? Oh, well, I'm not sure exactly where their contract situations lie. Canada, you would imagine, absolutely. Robbo getting on a bit. I don't know how the club view his future. I would imagine, what's he, inside his last 2 years then at this point? You would usually 18 months to go is when these conversations would start to take place. So, we're nearly there. I never even looked down at the likes. If you haven't, my friends, please do take a second and hit that like button for us, just so we can keep this tremendous record of 1,000 likes on live streams going. It's the longest streak we've had, and of course we wanted to keep going. So do take a second and hit that like button. And again, I want to point out, if anybody wants to come to our Liverpool show and can't come for financial reasons, and I mean sincere people here, not people just taking the piss, please do reach out to me. Email us and we'll sort out the tickets for you. Of course, we'll do it privately. It's nobody else's business. But we want to make sure, if you want to come and see us, you want to meet up with the community, that money isn't an issue and a reason to stop. So if you can't make the show for financial reasons, please do reach out to us, and I promise you we'll sort it out for you. Because I've always said it, and I'll say it again, we don't want money being a barrier for anybody with our content or with our shows. Same way all of our content is free, we'll always have it free, because we feel like there shouldn't be a financial barrier for us, and we're only speaking about from our perspective. This is the way we like to do things. So we managed to give away about 30 tickets to our shows between Cardiff, Liverpool and Dublin, and of course we'd love to do the same again. If anybody has any issues, please do just reach out to us. Craig, I can pay for the ticket, but it's just where I'm coming from, the travel part. I can't help you out with that, mate. The tickets we can help out with, because I can go and just physically buy them for you and send them to you. And I can run that through the company, no problem. But I can't just randomly start sending out money to people for travel. The accountant would have an absolute fit if I did that. You know, it's easy with the tickets, because I buy the tickets and then I just send them straight onto you. And we can put that through the books and it's no problem. You know, accountancy-wise, it's no issue. That's why I love your show, because you're a good human being. Look, I've been on the other side of this. I've been on my arse. I've been helped out by people when I had nothing and our family were in a really difficult place. And I've always promised myself, my wife and everybody that I've known that if we got to a position where life's a bit easier for us, I want to make sure that we repay the kindness that people showed to me. And that's just a simple way I go about my life. Somebody gave me a hand up when I needed it in life. So the very least we can do for people who come in and watch is to give them that opportunity to come and make that connection and meet us all in person. Because that's what we're about. I don't just say community for the sake of it. It means a lot to me. Just email me, contact@AnfieldAgenda.com, mate. Contact@AnfieldAgenda.com. The Liverpool Prophet is the way to go. Where do you get those Anfield Agenda tops? We just bought the t-shirts and brought them to the printers to get done. I'm getting another couple done this week, actually. But yeah, we're not going to sell them because they're too expensive. Like, as example, a hoodie would cost about 70 quid. Just cost to us 60 for the hoodie and tenner to get it done. So I just made them just to have done, really. Yeah, I think just because I'm an Adidas freak, as you know, so I just thought, why not stick our logo on a couple of them, see how they look. Love your show. Very good family man. Once read, always read. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate it. Look, the shows and all the live shows for us, it's not a money generating thing. We try to break even when we do the live shows. We try to get it to the point where we just don't lose money doing them. It's about meeting people for us. It's about connecting and just saying thank you. I love being able to hold someone's hand, shake it and say thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for coming to see us and thank you for everything. So that's what we do. Like, I know it sounds a bit corny and cheesy, but it genuinely is the truth. If you ever come to Vancouver, Canada, let me know and I'll host you or help show you around, mate. Big Liverpool community here. Love to get over to Canada. We've been before. My wife has relatives that live kind of Mississauga, around that neck of the woods near suburbs of Toronto, but I've never been up to the other part of Canada, the other side. So like we've said before, we'll go anywhere to meet Liverpool fans. If you have a supporters club or a group of people that meets in X or Y part of the world, just message us and we'll see if we can make it happen. Suleiman said Connor holds a pistol when Craig talks about money. No, honestly, we look at it this way. We take a wage from what we do and we leave the rest inside the company. We're both very, how do I say this? We're not flashy people. We don't give a fuck about living a high life. I live in a council house and I plan on living here for the rest of my life, whether I buy it or not. I don't plan on moving out. I'm around people that I like, people that I know, people that are good people, and I've no want in life to be extravagant. I'm just happy. I do filthy things for a slot title for a season, said Aaron Staunton. Oh, dude. I'm not even letting myself believe yet, Aaron. You know, it's too early. It'll take a little bit more for me to start thinking about titles. Right now, I'm just thinking it's been a great start. You know, we've had 3 wins from 3. Yesterday was the game. Growing up, for me, this is the game. United Liverpool, that's the biggest game of the season for me. It doesn't matter if United are crap and we're great, or we're crap and United are great. That's the one. Always been the one. And it's always the fixture I first look out for. So yesterday That meant a lot to me, that game. Do you remember the time last season I got in trouble? I called out Mo and I called out Darwin. It's no accident that that was in the United game, because that's the game that means the most to me each season. So for us to go to Old Trafford yesterday and wipe the floor with them, I thought it was phenomenal. Do you read non-paid comments still? I've literally read about 50-50 on this stream, mate. Of course I do. This whole stream is about interaction, bro. Of course I have to preference the super chats because people have spent their money and they've every right to have them up. But absolutely, I jump into the comments and read as many as I can, mate. It's I'd be a bit of an asshole if I wasn't, let's be honest. Like, if I was only reading super chats, I'd feel I'd be deserving of criticism. Luis Diaz, he's from Barrancas and he plays for Liverpool. Said Paul, I think a bit of a suggestion for a chant. So where are we looking at in the poll, actually? Let's have a look at that. So who fills in for Ryan if indeed he needs to be rotated or has an injury? 52% of you guys so far and saying Endo, 20% for Curtis, 20% for Tyler Morton, and 9% for other. Probably thinking you're thinking trainee only there for the other. Give Trent, VVD and Salah 10-year contracts, said Odysseys. Am I looking forward to a nice break, said Alex Macklin. Yes, I need it, mate. Honestly, I'm mentally and physically drained after August. It's been a crazy month. I've been going on fumes for a while, mate. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting away, spending some time with my son properly, and just enjoying a week in the sun. Chris said, I think we may go back in for ZUBIMENDI in January. That's kind of where we're going with tonight's stream, Chris, because I was recording with David Lynch earlier on, and just as at the end of our podcast when we were finishing recording it, Connor sent me a post from which account was it? Anfield Sector, that was talking about Fabrizio Romano, and he mentioned no, actually it wasn't Anfield Sector, was it? It was Anything Liverpool, sorry. Said the appreciation for ZUBIMENDI is still there, said Fabrizio Romano. Still believe he's the perfect player for the tactical idea that they have at the club. So that kind of got me to ask David Lynch, if ZUBIMENDI backtracked, thinking about the fact that he hasn't signed a new deal yet, do you think there's any chance that Liverpool could revisit that? Fully expecting him to say no, but he said certainly there's good terms there on both sides. I think it came out afterwards as well that ZUBIMENDI had rang Richard Hughes to explain his decision. So it seems like there's certainly still a line of communication there. Now, what really made me think about this was they've obviously seen Mikel Merino move to Arsenal, so they've weakened themselves a little bit more there. He hasn't yet signed a new contract at Sociedad, so technically right now his release clause is still at the same number. So while those things are still a factor, and of course Sociedad haven't started off the season very well, I think 1 win from 3, 2 losses, you know, you'd wonder, does he think, have I made the right call here? Especially when he sees how well Liverpool have started under Arne Slot. Joe Manning, how are you, my man? Hey mate, my brother and sister both have autism and are fans of football, so your fan channel is brilliant for me to interact with this community. Love. Well, I hope that your brother and sister are well, mate. And yeah, I'm glad you find a sense of community and belonging here with us, mate. It's lovely to have you in, and I wish you and your family nothing but love. What's your overall thoughts on the transfer window, said Dixie Normaz. Frustrating, I can't lie, mate. You know, Chiesa, the deals we did, I've nothing to complain about with regards to the ones that we got done. I understand the thought process behind Mamardashvili, and I think it's a great idea to future-proof. Federico Chiesa, for that money, with the enthusiasm that you see he clearly has, again, absolutely no issues with it. But we didn't strengthen the number 6, and we didn't strengthen a centre-back, and I would have liked at least one of those, if not both of those, addressed. So I'm frustrated by the window, but the window's closed, you know, and I promised when the window was closed, we talk about the football, we talk about what we're doing, and Arna so far has been pitch perfect, you know, come in, 3 wins, 3 clean sheets, nothing to complain about in that regard. I am very happy Liverpool fan right now. Craig, did you see Trent said to the United crowd, I'll see you here next year? I didn't see that. I seen he gave the finger to a few of them who were being smart arses alright outside, but a lot of those United fans yesterday showed their lack of class, and they aren't the United fans that I've gotten to know on here, by the way. The United fans that come in and out of our chat and talk with us are really nice people, but there is obviously an undercurrent of assholes who are just, they're making their club look terrible, to be honest with you. You fell for a Kahoot name again. What is a Kahoot? I haven't got a clue what these things are, mate. So, you know, oh, Dixie Normus. I didn't fall for it. Like, Dix Normus. Like, it's funny that you think, like, if I... And, by the way, yeah, I absolutely didn't realise the name, but who cares? I don't get the issue with it. Like, I swear way worse than that on here. So, if somebody wants to make a fun name that has me say 2 rude words, well, mind. As long as it's not something like the N word or something like that. Doesn't bother me in the slightest, mate. As I said to you before, I pick random comments out of the chat and I just get the first one that comes to my eye line and read it out. If it ends up with me getting done with a name, then that's part of the job, isn't it? Kyle said, what away victory was sweeter, this or the 5-0? It's a really good question. Do you know, I'm going to say this one. And it might be recency bias, but it's also because of the nonsense that we're listening to during the week from the likes of Gary Neville, Paul Merson, who were trying to say to us that, and convince the world that this United midfield was streets ahead of ours. And I was never buying that. I'm never ever buying that. So to very quickly see them put in their place after spending another good chunk of money this summer, and to show them that their manager is tactically inept, I found that very satisfying. Very, very satisfying. Because it was comprehensive. Kahoot is a quiz game we play in America. Sometimes we prank the teachers with a username like Hugh Janus. Okay, I get you. Look, if somebody gets away with one of them and gets it into the chat, fair play. Honestly, I don't take any issue with it. If you get away with it and I fall for it, then good on you. Fair play. Gary Neville and Paul Merson and even Simon Jordan trying to downgrade us. Look, there aren't very many people that I will openly say I don't like. I hate Simon Jordan. I do not like that man one bit. His arrogance astounds me, especially around stuff like boxing where he hasn't got a clue what he's talking about. But because he's posh and because he sounds confident, so many people are won over. And I just listen to him a lot of the time thinking, you are talking absolute shite. I hate him. Don't like him one bit. I think he is the epitome of everything the rest of the world does not like about England. If you're looking for somebody in human form for that, it's him. Now, of course, all that aside, I was very happy to hear that he won his battle with cancer that he had and that he's getting back to full health. That is brilliant news. But I don't like him one bit. I don't like the way he conducts himself. I don't like the way he just continuously shouts over people. And I'm drawn back to when Robbie from AFTV went on there, and it felt to me watching it like Simon and Jim just ganged up on him. And I was saying to myself watching it, I'd fucking love him to do that to me. I'd love to be sitting there with Simon Jordan giving me that to me, because it'd be a very different response he'd be getting from me than Robbie may have been too polite, but I would have absolutely pushed back on Simon Jordan if I was in that seat. Techno Tim said, if you say something very stupid confidently, it's more convincing than someone clever said with no confidence at all. he's especially when he's there talking with Eddie Hearn about boxing, trying to tell Eddie Hearn. He said the words, "Somebody will pull the plug on boxing." Who? Because nobody owns boxing. It's impossible to pull the plug on boxing. Some of the stuff he comes out with is just ridiculous. Trying to tell Eddie Hearn, a man who's been involved in the sport his entire life, puts on fights all over the world, trying to tell him about boxing, like he doesn't know what he's talking about. What did you think about Ten Hag's answers at his post-match press conference? I've seen bits and pieces. He's deluded. That's all I can say. Do you know what he sounds like? He sounds like that politician that got told one fact and just keeps putting it out there. How many times yesterday alone did he talk about them being the second most successful team after Manchester City in the past 2 years? It's like we can all cherry pick windows of time that work for our agendas, but ultimately, yes, he won a League Cup and an FA Cup, but he also finished 8th, finished bottom of a bang average Champions League group, has been whooped 7-0, 5-0 and 3-0 by us, has been whooped by Manchester City, was beaten at home by Brighton, has pissed 600 and something million in the transfer window. The man is deluded. Like, most people can take a criticism that's fair on the chin. They might not like it, but it resonates. Him, to that journalist, I think was it Ian Merriman or somebody like that, who absolutely just buried him. It was beautiful to watch. He tried to push it back on the journo and said, well, what are these same errors? And the journalist just went bang, 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 bang. And then Ten Hag went straight back to his petulant little, well, I'm sorry, you're wrong, because we're the second most successful team after. Shut up! You were whooped again, and you're tactically inept. He just he doesn't seem to have enough self-awareness, Ten Hag. He's just so arrogant that it winds me up. Rachel, thank you for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. Slot dismissed his whole strategy in a matter of minutes during a flash interview. I know. That's why I'm so impressed with Arne so far. He's just he knows what he's talking about. Like, when I hear the likes of an Arne Slot talking about football, I remember very quickly why I'm sitting here. Because he just says stuff that I never even comprehend. And so impressively, so matter of fact, so quickly, spoke about the difference in the pressing from United's front players versus in other games. It was just, it was incredibly impressive to watch the way Arne has conducted himself so far. Should have kept by Cecic if we weren't going to go in for DM. No, respectfully to Cantor, loaning out Stefan by Cecic is, in my opinion anyway, 100% the correct decision. Because we couldn't have given him enough game time. And you have to think long term with somebody like him. So if we couldn't make sure that he got, let's say, 25 or 30 games this season, the best thing is to send him out there on loan, because he's missed 14 or 15 months of football. And we need to make sure that he can withstand the full season. So if he can go to Salzburg, where he'll be playing Champions League football, working with a coach in Pep Linders, obviously, that knows him well, I think we'll see the benefit of that down the line. And if he has a particularly good season, from the club's perspective, maybe they look at it and go, well, he is our second number 6 then. He is Ryan Gravenberch's competition. And if he has a particularly good season at Salzburg, it's going to be very difficult for even me to push back on that and say, no, we still need to sign one. So I can only give you my opinion, my man, and I just think it was the right decision. I was actually worried that he may end up at Barca because I still thought that was the wrong one. Salzburg seems like a good fit. Who loved VVD telling Martinez tried to do that with him? Yes, I very much enjoyed that. Going around, United fans calling him the Butcher. The Butcher. The Butcher. Really? Like, as if anybody in the world is scared of little Martinez. Like, yeah, Virgil very quickly. United resorted to type yesterday. Just kicking lumps out of the players when they got frustrated. De Ligt with his snidey challenge as well. It was very clear that they knew very quickly that they were outmatched, outfought, outthought. And that's all they could do. So it's obviously not great seeing our players get kicked, but the reason why they're doing it, that's very satisfying to see, because we're just frustrating them. And that's all that they could do. Now you out, said Craig, what did you think of Slot ripping United's tactics to pieces and say how they play? Incredibly impressive, my friend. Incredibly impressive. Everything about... Now do you see, by the way, do you see why in the summer I was so adamant about not throwing Slot under the bus? That's why I kept saying I don't want Arne Slot to be a sacrificial lamb, because I've truly believed in this guy from the second we appointed him. And I want to make sure that he has the chance to succeed, because I really feel he'll do it. And to come in after Jurgen, take it in his stride as he had, be very analytical, matter-of-fact and measured in everything he's done, it's been really impressive to see from the outside, and very obvious why Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards will have landed on him for very many things. The style of play, the management of players to reduce injuries, which is something that David Lynch spoke about quite a bit today when I spoke with him, that was a real reason for Liverpool where they feel like they can get the most out of the squad, because Arne and his staff are probably going to hopefully limit injuries a little bit more with some preventative stuff that they did so well at Feyenoord. I think, as we mentioned many times, something like a 90% or just over 90% availability rate of first team players at Feyenoord. So yeah, Mohamed Salah really just owns United, doesn't he? Just like 10 goals or something at Old Trafford. It's incredible. What happened to that super talent from Chelsea? Did we sign him? I still haven't seen an absolute confirmation on Yamoha. I've seen the young man Alvin Ayman from Wolves. I've seen that confirmed. But again, unless I've missed it, I've not seen it confirmed. But I don't believe there's anything to worry about either. Tony, I agree. Martinez definitely more like Pat Butcher. I agree. My friends, don't forget, do hit that subscribe button if you're with us and you haven't done so. And again, thank you to everyone for hitting the like button as well. I would have taken Zubimendi. Sad he was not bought into the squad. FSG should be fired. Well, you can't fire the owners, but I get where you're coming from. Schmeichel tearing up after the match, saying he is sad that Sir Alex Ferguson had to see that match was priceless. Yep. As I said yesterday, everything about that was just amazing. Just inject it. Just sit back, enjoy it, lap it up. See the stadium emptying out as Liverpool were absolutely having their way with United. It was just amazing on every level. I loved it. First game for Arne as well, and one of the big ones so far, and gone away from home at Old Trafford in his first season and beating them 3-0. Can't say you aren't impressed with that one. Whitehammer says, think a lot are forgetting Ibu needs a new contract. So I would imagine that Ibu is now into the last 22 months of his contract. So yes, he will be a priority, but not as much of a priority as the lads who are obviously out of contract at the end of this season. But you are right. He's started the season, Whitehammer, so well. Came on a half-time, obviously, for Jarell Quansah in the first game. And ever since that, he's been undroppable. He's been absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, you're right. And I'm sure that he will get the contract extension offer relatively soon. Because, if he plays at the level he's continued to do, he looks top-notch. Darren, I'm so sorry about this. I'm just going to read this out. Craig, my father, a lifelong Red, passed away last night, 81 years of age. He slipped away till he'll never walk alone in hospital. A shout out to Daniel Cottrell, please. I'm so sorry to hear of your dad passing. Even at 81, mate, it never makes it easier. So absolutely a shout out to your dad, Daniel. May he rest in peace. And I'm glad that he went away peacefully, surrounded by his family. Our thoughts, our love are with you, mate. I'm really sorry for your loss. Yeah, I'm very sorry for your loss, mate. But I hope you're well. I hope you're as well as can be, mate. Much love to you. Always difficult. My dad was 45 when he passed away, and I don't imagine if he was 81 it would have been any easier, mate. To be honest with you, it's never easy losing a parent, you know. And as somebody who's lost both, I definitely sympathise with where you're coming from. So thank you for again letting us know, and just know that we're here should you need anything, even just a vent. Come in, shout with us, mate. We're here. By the way, just on these things, I'm not a religious person, so you never really hear me speaking about prayers and stuff like that. But I hope no one ever takes offence by that, because I absolutely respect everybody else's faith. And if somebody takes solace or comfort in a prayer or in religious beliefs, I'm here to support that as well. I can only always speak from my own personal viewpoint of the world. Mary said, so was my dad, Craig, 45, both my parents gone as well. It's I'm sorry for your losses as well, Mary. It's it's not easy, is it? It's not easy, but all we can do, Mary, is just try to continue their legacies and make them proud, right? Benjamin, how are you, my friend? Said, hello, Craig. I said when ZUBIMENDI broke down that a mate in Spain said the rumours that Real Sociedad were collapsing due to losing players. The rumours are now there's an agreement on a higher fee for January. See, here's the thing though, right? We don't have to pay the higher fee. Now, of course, if there's an agreement for a higher fee and the reason for that is so we can spread it out over the course of 4 or 5 years, that makes sense. But if we wanted him and he had changed, like, I think the key here is on him. If he changes his mind and wants to come, then I think you go about finding a way to make it happen. Which could be possible the way that you've said it there. Maybe they agree a slightly higher fee, but they pay it over the course of 4 or 5 years, which would probably suit the club better than having to pony up the whole release clause. Again, the only reason this came up today was kind of a little bit of a coincidence and just good timing as well. When I was happened to be speaking with David Lynch on this morning's podcast, it came out from Fabrizio Romano and we just talked about it, and apparently the door isn't fully closed as we sit here. Now, of course, if ZUBIMENDI signs a new deal, this looks like a very different conversation. Evelyn said, I'm so glad Gravenberch got his chance to really shine. Wanted to see him more while Klopp was still managing, but I guess he really wasn't this type of player. Improved like crazy in such a short time. He's been amazing since the season started, mate. Absolutely amazing. I have a question for you guys, actually, about the chat. So I was speaking with Connor earlier on. We have the chat so as people can only comment every 30 seconds or so. I want to know from you guys on a match day if you want that taken away so people can comment every 10 seconds or whatever. There's pros and cons to this, of course. The cons are it gives more ability for spamming. The pros are it gives more people a chance to put in quick-fire comments if we've scored or if a major incident had happened. So I'm mindful of our moderators, but I'm also mindful for people being able to express themselves in the chat. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are, because of course this is a community-led show and we want you guys to have the say on these things. Yep, I can put it to a poll. 1 second, let me just end this other one. So we've had I need 3,000 votes. It's so close to 3,000. We need a few more votes before we end it, but then we'll put it to a poll. So what are we at? 2968. So a couple more people vote, and then we'll get it to we'll end the poll. Be nice to get to a nice round 3,000. Nearly there. Couple more votes and we're done. There we go. Nice one. Right, so that poll results are coming in there now. Let me just get this super chat up before. Actually, do you know what, Farron? I'll come back to this in a sec. Let me just get the poll up. 1 second. Okay. Right, so I've given you 3 options here. How long should there be timed in between comments that we allow in the chat? So no limit, meaning people can comment as often as they want. 10 seconds or 30 seconds. And I'll leave that for you guys to vote away on. And of course, as always, we'll listen to your feedback and go from there. Right, let me get this up from Farron like I promised. Said, irritating, the ZUBIMENDI news comes out days after the window shuts. I didn't get that up on screen, that 1 sec. Irritating that the ZUBIMENDI news comes out days after the window shuts. I guess it also kind of coincides with the start of the season that they've had and the great start of the season that we've had is maybe fueling some of this conversation as well. You know, we're perfect, 3 wins from 3. They've had a really rocky start to the season where they've not played really well at all. Benjamin said, apparently he never said he didn't want to come. He stayed due to the fear of relegation by Real Sociedad due to their issues of losing players. He was made to feel guilty. But to be honest, I'm on the Ryan train. I mean, I didn't think they were in that much trouble, Sociedad. Like, I knew that they were probably mid-table, but are they really staring on the barrel of relegation? That's that would be a fall from grace, because are they not in, like, the Europa Leagues this season or the Conference League or something as well? Would I ever do Saturday Social? No, I wouldn't, mate. It's not my type of content. Plus, and I mean this sincerely as well, the odds of you getting me up out of bed that early to do anything are pretty slim to none, you know. Saturday morning, me, you know how I am even for a 12:30 kickoff, so no, respectfully, I don't think that's a good fit for me. Do you think the international break has come too soon again with the Euros only being in July? A bit worried about injuries. Oh, Dave, the bane of my goddamn life, mate, this September international break. As you've rightly pointed out, we're back off a Euros, an Olympics and a Copa America summer, where some managers have only got their players back with a few weeks before the season to go. They're just getting them in, getting them up to speed, and then they're off again for another 2 weeks. And then there's another international break next month and another international break in November. It's ridiculous. The managers can't get into a rhythm in the league for players jetting off all around the world. Because as you know, when you're at clubs like Liverpool, United, Arsenal, Chelsea, City, you've got international caliber players that are going off to South America, to Africa, to Europe, to all parts of the world. It's mental. And mostly for games that no one gives a damn about. You know, Nations League games or, you know, just avoidable nonsense. Why not just have a block of a month or 6 weeks in a summer or at the end of a season where the international managers get all these players for that period and get it all done in one block? Play the games over 6 weeks or whatever and just give them that continuity as well, where the international managers have the group together for a longer period. They can play all the games. I just hate the stop-start nature of it. Darren Parry said, I'd still be interested in ZUBIMENDI. Definitely his class. It's a tough one for a homegrown player to leave his club, so I'd forgive him for that, definitely. Look, I'm a moany, petulant little arsehole a lot of the time, mate, and I had my moaning about ZUBIMENDI over the summer, but honestly, if he wanted to come and the club are happy with it, I mean, of course, you'd say welcome in. you mean you took too long, but welcome in, and you'd hope that he's a success. But let's wait and see what the next few months brings. Don't like the new format of the Champions League. It's awful, single league with every team. I really have no idea what to make of it, Mr. Fake Nigel Farage. I don't know what to make of it yet because we haven't seen it. I do like the idea of every game having something on it. So all of your 8 group stage games, you need to do something in because of the league table and the way it's formatted. I like the fact that we're going to play 8 different teams in the Champions League. But I guess we'll really know if we like it or dislike it as the competition progresses and we get to see the difference of it. Because there have been some years where even the 5th and 6th games of a Champions League group stage have been pointless. And under this new system, every game will matter because, of course, sometimes the results outside of your own hands are what's going to dictate whether you move up or down. So I'm open-minded about it, but I don't know what to expect yet because we haven't seen it kick off properly. The draw gave us some very interesting fixtures. I think the difficult ones we got at home, which is always nice. But yeah, I'm willing to give it a try. I'm open-minded about it. I have to say, actually, the video that they put out with Ibrahimovic and Alexander Kefrin and Gigi Buffon and whatnot, I thought that was actually quite good. I'll give them the credit on that one. Demon Jedi Gaming said, random new song to the tune of Baby Shark. See, I don't know Baby Shark. It's one of those songs or things I've heard of, but I don't know. I've never seen. So I'll let you try and sing that out there, folks, because I don't know the tune, so I'm not even going to try and attempt it. But thank you, Demon Jedi Gaming, mate. Appreciate you. Opinions on Ange Postecoglou. Honestly, Krish, my opinions change a lot on him. Sometimes I think he's brilliant. Sometimes I think he's too attack-minded. And then I remember he's at Spurs as well. So you've got a built-in mechanism for failure there because it's Spurs. So I like him as a fella. I like his blunt approach and the way he conducts himself. But I feel like if he was managing Liverpool and we were conceding some of the goals Spurs concede, it would become quite tiresome quite quickly. As good as an open-minded and attack-minded as his football is. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can finally turn Spurs into a team that wins a trophy. Because he's been backed fairly well in the market. Solanke, I feel like that's a really, really risky 60-65 million quid to spend, if I'm being honest, off the back of what was really one very good Premier League season. Raider kits from 1 to 10. Home kit 4. Black away kit 7. Solid 7. Red and white kit would be a 9 if it didn't have the Nike tick, the angle it's at. So with that, I'll give it a 7. So a 4 and 2 sevens for me. But as I said, if that Nike tick was the right way around, you're probably looking at a 9 out of 10 kit there for that one. Solanke for 60 million was shocking, said Henderson Galbraith. Techno Tim said Solanke 5 times more than Chiesa and still made us some money as well. I think it was just under 8 million from the Solanke deal. I think Tony would have been better for Spurs. I agree. I think Tony would have been better for United, by the way, than Xerxes. You know, even if you are thinking shorter term there with Ivan Toney, I think he would have certainly at least given Manchester United a guarantee of a certain amount of goals. Am I looking forward to Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois? Absolutely. I'm just raging. I can't go over to it. I've been to a good few of AJ's fights and I travel to go to boxing quite a bit when I can. So yeah, I would have loved. I've never been to Wembley, so I would have loved to have gotten over there for a fight. But I'll certainly be watching it on Sky. Yeah, what's this one? So Chelsea have sold somebody for 23 million quid. That's, to the best of my understanding, has never kicked a football for them. So Angelo joins Al Nasser from Chelsea for €23 million. Sell-on clause also included. By the way, did you see Mo Salah actually went to Saudi in the end? So left Leipzig and went to play in the Saudi Pro League. Just seems like a waste of a promising young centre-back career, or defender. I think he plays right side as well, right back. What did you think of Xerxes? He looked very rough. I think that's a fair assessment. There's some raw talent there. He got himself into positions where he probably should have scored one or two. But nothing about him makes me think he's going to become a superstar. I don't get that vibe off him. So yeah, a bit of a weird one again for United to sign, personally. I thought Xerxes had his first touch of a bouncy castle since Spartacus. David said Xerxes is 1,000 times better than Hoyland. I don't know. I think Hoyland has something about him that I think Hoyland will come good. Just a personal opinion. You said before that not knowing the terms, probably a new contract for Virgil, maybe bonuses for clean sheets. We have 3 now, so you might be onto something. Yeah, exactly. Keep going like that. Virgil be a very an even more wealthy man. And look, we'd all be delighted for it as well. You can't, if you're keeping clean sheets, you're not too far away. So yeah, look, our defence has been really good so far this season. Everything has been good, to be honest. It's been a great start. Would I take Ugarte? No, not for the fit of the way we play. Look, I'm going to say this honestly. I think Ugarte will do well at United. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's a good player in the way we need that position to be played. He will be... Yeah, I think he'll be good for United. I do. I think it'll work out to be a good signing for them. I think the price is reasonable enough. He's what, 23? I think he's 23. So yeah, I think that honestly, I think that's a decent signing for United, and I think he'll certainly improve their midfield. Do you think FSG ever sells the club? I've kind of gone back and forth on whether I think they'll ever sell it in one go or break it down in chunks and sell it off bit by bit, keeping an interest along the way. I don't see a sale in the next 3 years anyway. I definitely don't get any indication that that's going to be the case, but I think I've come down on the side of they're more likely to sell off small percentages of it again, to take on investment or strategic partnerships. Look, I make it really simple. For all of my moaning about FSG and all of the stuff in the past and all of the stuff that I don't like them for, I always try to at least acknowledge any good stuff they do. My biggest and strongest gripe with them is the same thing I keep saying. Every fibre of me believes they're cheap. And I don't say that for effect. I mean it. Every part of me. I'd never believed the Super League apology. Never, ever, ever believed it. But then again, we weren't the only club that were signed up for it. So, if they just did more with our managers in the market, you wouldn't hear as much from me about them. But they don't. And my belief that they're cheap is not going to change until they show us that it's going to change. Because I keep finding excuse after excuse after excuse, kicking the can down the road. And then, for instance, we've started this season well, right? So people are instantly going to go, see, didn't need to spend in the window. See, but it was never about the first 3 games. All of us seen how we've fallen away in seasons gone by at the latter part of the campaigns. So the start of the season is one thing, but when games come thick and fast twice a week and your squad maybe picks up an injury or two, that's where I think the not strengthening is going to come back to bite us in the ass. And that's why I'm so adamant that we need to put pressure on them. So yeah, they're cheap in my eyes, and that's the phrase I keep saying. They're cheap. And I think that they are cheap. They're not the worst owners in the world at all. And I've always said that as well. I don't think that they're anything like the Glazers. I wouldn't even put them in that category. But I just feel like they're leaving opportunities on the table. And that's as fair as I can be about it. Whitehammer said, Craig, you're handling contracts. What do you do? I give Trent 300 grand a week on a 4 or 5 year deal. I offer Mohamed Salah the same contract with better incentives for goals and assists for 2 years with an option of a third. And I'd probably do something similar with Virgil van Dijk. Maybe something like along the lines of what he's on now, with some extra incentives or bonuses for trophies, clean sheets. Again, 2 years with an option of a third. That's where I'm at. The players would probably want the guarantee of the third year in Virgil and Mohamed's case. And I guess that's a difficult conversation for both the club and the players to have. But that's kind of where I'd be at. Do we have the FFP to sign all three? Yes. So, UEFA rules mean that clubs can't spend more than 80% of their turnover on wages and transfer fees and whatnot. They want to get that down towards 70, which seems to be about the magic percentage. The last time I checked, now this isn't an up-to-date figure, Liverpool were somewhere in and around 61, 62%. So the wiggle room is definitely there, yes. Would you let Mo go for a better young forward? The answer is no, because if we let Mo go now, we're letting him go for free to get that better young forward. If you wanted to look to the future without Mo, you do it last year when you take the 150 million that's on offer. So once we didn't take that and we got into this campaign, it became, in my mind, it became about seeing what Mo's like. Is he still the same Mo? Well, so far, yes, he is. He's physically looking great. He's looking sharp. You can see the respect he has of those around him. So, you know, I don't think the player can do any more at this point to do any convincing. And I think that's fair. Mahmood said, the intro song is a banger. I go back in the stream to listen to it. It was someone sent it to us, mate. They made it on AI and sent it to us. And we just thought, you know what, fair play. Let's use it for a little while and see how it gets on. What order should the contracts be sorted out? I mean, it's a fair question. You would have to imagine that maybe there's a bit of brinksmanship between the players here as well. Because they're gonna want to see what the others are getting, right? Or at least get the indications of what way the clubs are leaning on them. So if I had a preference, you protect the most valuable asset first, which is Trent, because of his age. If they're all the same age, Mohamed Salah, you'd be going to immediately first, but they're not. So you got to protect the player that still has 6-7 years left in him. Trent number 1, Mohamed number 2, Virgil number 3. But I want all three of them extended, so. Would you take the Japanese striker? I think it's Kubo. He's not a striker, and no, I wouldn't. I've not seen anywhere near enough consistency in Kubo to see justify a move to Liverpool. We've been linked with him quite a bit. Jumped around a lot on loan from Mallorca and stuff when he was owned, and still is, I think, or at least. I don't know if he's still owned by Real Madrid or they have an option and a sell-on clause in there. But either way, not until he ups his game and provides more consistency. How do you feel about Darwin not playing as much as he would like? It's a tough one because I think it's twofold. One, you've got the fact, obviously, that Diogo Jota started the season really well. But you've also got the fact that Diogo Jota had more of a pre-season with Arna than Darwin did. Because, of course, they went all the way to the 3rd-4th place playoff for the Copa America. So he had a shortened time to get up to speed anyway. So I was always expecting us to kind of just muddle through to this international break and then see what happens. But right now, it's up to Darwin. You know, it's nobody else's fault he's not on the team other than his own. and everybody else is doing their jobs. And when he gets his opportunities, which of course he will, he's got to prove to the manager that he's the man that should be leading the line, you know. And if he can do that, we're all on to a winner. Madrid get 50% of the fee Sociedad sells them for. There you go. Thank you for that, mate. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Because, of course, it's been about an hour 45 so far, and I've got to get a few bits and pieces sorted as I wind down towards holiday as well. So tomorrow I'm going to actually be recording with Simon, Liverpool fan in Japan, for his channel. So that should be coming out soon, hopefully. I'll be back live tomorrow night at 8:45 as well for the late night agenda. So I hope you can join us for that. And if you haven't, please do come along to our show. You can get your tickets with the link at the top of the chat in the description, or by checking out the Hot Water Comedy Club. We are on November 15th and it is an all ages event. Let's have a look at the chat and see what you guys ended up with. No limit with 40%. So yes, leave that with me. I certainly have taken on board what you've said. Leave it with me and I'll talk to Connor about it and we'll see what we can come up with. So yeah, thank you as all for joining me tonight again. Appreciate you. Tomorrow, I'll probably have 2 more live streams before I'm off on holidays. So I'll probably see you tomorrow and Wednesday. Talk to you then.